My name is Nigel Allen. I'm the president of the TMH Foundation, and it gives me a great honor to welcome all of you here to do something very, very special, and that is to remember and honor one of the most beloved people ever to grace the halls of this hospital, and that's Dr. Sergio Ginaldi. Sadly, I never had the pleasure of knowing Dr. Ginaldi, but all of you, I think, did, and probably if we went around in a circle, each of you could tell a very special, very funny story about kind of the humor, the love, and the affection that he had for this hospital, for his family, and for just life itself. And so I think it's only appropriate that we remember him in this very special way, which involves, for those of you who may not know, the establishment of a special educational scholarship fund for radiology students that Robin Ginaldi and some other members of the hospital review and award each year, an endowment to support that fund, and the renaming of this department in his honor. So we'll get to that part in a little bit, but what I'd like to do before I ask Robin to speak a little bit is to ask two people who also knew Dr. Ginaldi rather well to just speak briefly about their own memories of Dr. Ginaldi before we do the unveiling. And first up would be our CEO, Mark O'Brien.
How many in this group knew Dr. Ginaldi? Raise your hand. All right, just about everybody. When Nigel says everybody has a story to tell about Sergio, that's no joke. I'm sure people could tell a lot of stories about Sergio. You know, there's the old adage that everybody could write a book, and it would be interesting to see the stories that rather than him writing the book, people wrote a book about him. Everybody wrote a chapter or two, or in some cases like Ron, 28 chapters on their experiences with Sergio. It would be a bestseller. I'm not sure you can make it to a movie, at least for little kids. But he was certainly a person with a sense of adventure. In that book, I'm sure there'll be all sorts of stories about life in Italy and the adventures of life around him. But what I can absolutely assure you that it would include was his love for medicine and his love for his patients and the love he had in serving others. The one thing that has always resonated about Dr. Ginaldi is that he was always there for the patient first. No doubt about it. Didn't matter what time of day or night, if someone was in need, he would be there. I remember him talking early on. I was barely here, and he wanted to do this series of these educational series on the harm of CT scans, over imaging people with CT scans because of the harm it would provide, even though quite frankly, as a radiologist, you benefit from those scans. And he was very adamant, very energetic about this because he was first and foremost thinking about the patients he served and wanted to make sure that they received the best care possible. I can't think of anybody better suited to have his name associated with TMH and imaging services at TMH than Dr. Ginaldi. Not because of the years of service here, but the caliber of his service, the love he had for this institution, and most importantly, the love he had for his patients and the doctors with whom, and the staff with whom he served. And so with that, I want to thank Robin for helping to make this possible, and I want to thank Sergio, because I'm sure he's looking down on this, for everything that he represented and that is good in life. So thank you.
For those of you who I don't know, I'm the radiology director here at the hospital. I've been in the organization for about 10 years, and I had the pleasure of meeting and working side by side with Dr. Ginaldi when I came into the organization in 2011. When I came in, Dr. Ginaldi was the king of the department, and he read what seemed like every day, all hours of the day, performing interventional radiology procedures. In this room right here was one of the main rooms he performed in, which used to be CTA, so it's very fitting that we're honoring Dr. Ginaldi and renaming him, the department after him today, and I'm putting the plaque up on this wall, where he performed a lot of his procedures. He is very present in the department today. People tell his stories still every day. Dr. Killius was in Dr. Vegas's room last week reviewing a case with him and made mention how Dr. Ginaldi had a similar procedure back in the day with these drains that they were reviewing. You see we have Dr. Ginaldi's lead still in the department. Staff still tell his stories. They still talk about, like the Halloween costumes that he would dress up in each year. And here's one right here when Dr. Ginaldi came in as a one-night stand. He really loved working and engaging with his team and taking care of patients. It was an honor to watch him work, and all of the folks that are here that got a chance to work with him are very fortunate, and the patients in which he served, very fortunate that Dr. Ginaldi took care of him. So it's very fitting, like I said, that we're honoring Dr. Ginaldi and renaming a department in which he poured so much of his heart and soul into and cared for so many people. We will be naming the department the Sergio Ginaldi Radiology Department. It's wonderful to see his memory live on forever in one of the places in which he cared for all the people that he loved so much. So thank you guys for joining us in celebrating Dr. Ginaldi.
Thank everybody for coming out today. I appreciate it. Yesterday was 2 years that Sergio passed, and he wouldn't have been able to ask for a better day than this. He'd have been not excited about it, but very excited about it. So with that being said, I appreciate it, and just thank you.
I have two things for you, Robin. So today, so Dr. Ginaldi's office is very much in the same shape and form as it was when he read. Today, I went into his office and I pulled a bell off of his cabinet that he had hanging there for all these years, and that bell, he frequently had a long line of physicians, people consulting his service outside of his office. When he would get jammed up in his office and he needed some attention, he'd often ring that bell. His lead is still in the office there, but I wanted to give you those. I don't want to keep those in the office. I thought you would like those as little keepsakes.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Thank you.
And now why don't we make the official.
Do you want me to hold that?
Yes, that's fine. Thank you.
Pull off from the top, just
Just from the top like this. Okay, you ready? Thank y'all so much.
Thank you guys so much for joining.
Please enjoy some refreshments, a libation, and visit amongst yourselves.
Thank you.